The eternal covenant, the biblical case for the land of Israel. Belonging to the Jewish people, throughout history, the question of the Jewish people's right to the land of Israel has been a source of significant debate, both politically and theologically. However, for those who hold to the authority of Scripture, the answer is clear. The land of Israel has been given to the Jewish people by God as part of an eternal covenant, a promise that continues to this day. The Abrahamic covenant, God's promise of the land. The foundational passage for understanding the Jewish claim to the land of Israel comes from the Abrahamic covenant, established in the book of Genesis. God made a direct promise to Abraham that he would give his descendants a specific land. Genesis 12:1-3, NIV. The Lord had said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." In this passage, God calls Abram, to leave his home and journey to a land that God would reveal. This land, known today as Israel, would become central to the unfolding of God's plan for Abraham's descendants. Importantly, the covenant was not based on human effort or temporary agreements, but was a divine promise from God himself. Later, in Genesis 15:18-21, God explicitly outlines the territorial boundaries of the land promised to Abraham. Genesis 15:18-21, NIV. On that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram and said, "To your descendants I give this land from the Wadi of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephates, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites." This promise extends beyond Abraham himself to his descendants, making it a perpetual inheritance for the Jewish people. The confirmation of the covenant with Isaac and Jacob. It is crucial to recognize that the covenant was not only made with Abraham, but reaffirmed with his son Isaac and grandson Jacob, ensuring that the land of Israel was to be an everlasting possession of their descendants. Genesis 26:3-4, NIV. "Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands, and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and will give them all these lands, and through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed." Genesis 28:13-14, NIV. "There above it stood the Lord, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring." These passages clearly affirm that the promise of the land was passed down through Abraham's lineage, specifically to Isaac and Jacob, the patriarchs of the Jewish people. God's commitment to give them the land was unconditional, and no time limit was ever placed on the inheritance. The Mosaic covenant and the conditional blessings. Though the land was given as an eternal possession, the Jewish people's enjoyment of it was tied to their obedience to God's commandments. Under the Mosaic covenant, God warned Israel that disobedience would result in exile from the land, but he also promised that he would never completely abandon his people. Deuteronomy 30:3-5, NIV. "Then the Lord your God will restore your fortunes and have compassion on you and gather you again from all the nations where he scattered you. Even if you have been banished to the most distant land under the heavens, from there the Lord your God will gather you and bring you back. He will bring you to the land that belonged to your ancestors, and you will take possession of it. He will make you more prosperous and numerous than your ancestors. This passage demonstrates that even when Israel was scattered among the nations due to their sin, God's promise to bring them back to the land remained. The Jewish exile did not nullify God's eternal covenant. Instead, it served as a period of chastisement from which they would eventually be restored. The prophets and the promise of restoration. The Hebrew prophets consistently reaffirmed that God's covenant with Israel regarding the land would endure. Even during times of exile and foreign occupation, the prophets foresaw a future in which the Jewish people would be returned to their land. Ezekiel 36:24, NIV. For I will take you out of the nations. I will gather you from all the countries and bring you back into your own land. Amos 9:14-15, NIV. I will bring my people Israel back from exile. They will rebuild the ruined cities and live in them. They will plant vineyards and drink their wine. They will make gardens and eat their fruit. I will plant Israel in their own land, never again to be uprooted from the land I have given them. These prophecies underscore that God's promise concerning the land of Israel remains intact. Despite temporary exiles, God's plan was always to restore the Jewish people to their land. The New Testament confirmation. In the New Testament, there is no indication that God's covenant regarding the land has been revoked. Jesus himself, in his earthly ministry, accepted the Jewish understanding of their connection to the land. When he spoke of future events, he prophesied concerning Israel and Jerusalem, reinforcing the centrality of the land to God's redemptive plan. Luke 21:24, NIV. They will fall by the sword and will be taken as prisoners to all the nations. Jerusalem will be trampled on by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. This passage not only predicts the scattering of the Jewish people, but also implies a future time of restoration once the period of Gentile dominance has ended. Conclusion. The land still belongs to the Jewish people. Based on Scripture, it is clear that the land of Israel was given to the Jewish people as part of an eternal covenant established by God. This promise was first made to Abraham, reaffirmed to Isaac and Jacob, and confirmed through the prophets. While disobedience led to periods of exile, God's promise to restore Israel to their land has never been revoked. In modern times, the reestablishment of the nation of Israel in 1948 can be seen as a partial fulfillment of God's promise, but the full restoration is yet to come. According to Scripture, the land remains an inalienable inheritance of the Jewish people, and no political or social forces can override God's eternal decree. The land of Israel still belongs to the Jewish people, not because of any human decree, but because of the unchanging promises of God.